Hello, hello. All right, who else? I see us all sweating in here. Yeah, me too. It's not good for the hair either, but we're gonna make it work. Sadira Furlow, I am the Dean of Dopeness. That's my Tony's title. How's that for being unboring? Anyone that starts at Tony's, you get your own title, which is a little bit cooler than what you put on LinkedIn. So I feel very on brand here today. Shall we get into the sweetest talk of the day? Maybe the hottest as well. Let me take you on a journey of where my chocolate love affair began. I was just a young kid, Valentine's Day. Dad brings home that perfect red heart chocolate box. You know the one I'm talking about, where you have to eat your way to actually finding the one you actually want to eat and end up with an entire box of mostly uneaten chocolate just to get to the two you actually enjoy. I think that's where it started for me. That melt in your mouth, chocolate gooiness. Maybe I have some other chocoholics out here. And yeah, I see some clapping and hands slightly raising up. There's so much to love about chocolate, whether it's milk or dark or nutty or caramel, whatever your jam, there's something for you. And would you believe me if I told you we eat over 6.8 billion kilograms, that's right, billions with a B, of chocolate annually around the world. That's a lot of damn chocolate. And that got me thinking, why do we love chocolate so much? And like any good marketer, started to do a little bit of research, and maybe it's this, where it starts to look ooey and gooey, melty, that sensation you get in your mouth. But what else? Oh, more of the same melty, ooey gooey. Okay. And then what else? Same old, right? If you think about chocolate advertising, it is a sea of sameness. And no shade on any of my wonderful competitors, but it all starts to blend in. And I think that's where we start to get bored. Well, until this hunky, chunky, red siren walks into the door, and that's exactly what Tony's is. Came on the scene, disrupting for all the right reasons. At Tony's, we like to talk about that impact company that makes chocolate and not the other way around. And that's really important, and I want you to walk away remembering that. And the reason we talk about ourselves being an impact company goes back to our origin story about 20 years ago. That's right, we've been on this block for 20 years. We're not new to this game. You might have just been discovering us, but we've been around for a while. And it comes back to 20 years ago, 3 Dutch investigative journalists found out that their favorite chocolate bar was linked to child labor. And they were like, what? Appalled. And like any good journalist, what do? You create a documentary. So they created a documentary talking about what was happening in the industry and sounding the alarm, because there's no way we could all go along eating our 6.8 billion kilograms of chocolate and not be aware of the issues in the industry. Unfortunately, no one paid attention to the documentary. So I said, all right, well, what do we do next? We can't just sit on this. And so Toon van de Koken, who you see pictured here, one of our founders, got the bright idea of I'm gonna get myself arrested. That's brilliant. Because if I'm buying chocolate and I know child labor is involved, I'm complicit in this illegal act. So he tries to get himself arrested. Just think about how bold that is. Well, the judge was like, hey, I can't arrest you because I can't prove, you can't prove that this specific bar of chocolate is actually linked to child labor. So he said, cool, I got you. I can show you better than I can tell you. And that's when he went on to create Tony's Chocolonely, to show that it was possible to produce great chocolate in an ethical way. And that's what our name represents, the journey of one lonely man to change the industry from within. And since that day, that's been our guiding principle. That's been our mission. That's been our cause, to end exploitation in cocoa. So you're like, great. What have you learned on the way? You told us it's been 20 years. Well, let me talk to you a little bit about our unboring recipe that starts with cocoa, add in a little bit of chaos, and then stay rooted and grounded in cause. So cocoa. You gotta start with a great product. And if you've ever tasted Tony's, just show of hands, how many people, yeah, so thank you. It's great to be in a place where we're speaking the same language. So you know it's pretty damn tasty chocolate. You've gotta start with a great product. And in the past 20 years, we now have over 40 plus amazing flavors. And it started with the one on the bottom left, that big, bold, bright red bar that sounded the alarm, and we've been colorful ever since. Luckily for me, it matches my wardrobe, so I feel like the brand and I are speaking the same language. It's always fun when I meet people that love Tony's. They can't tell me their flavor, but they tell me their color. They're like, oh, mine's the orange one, or mine's the purple one, which is great, but it sometimes can also make it a bit challenging of, okay, what flavor is purple? What flavor is orange? And would you believe me if I told you it's only recently that we've started to define our identity around our chocolate? True story. About a year and a half ago when I joined the team, we didn't really have an identity or codes around how we talk about the chocolate. What are we actually offering to consumers? If it's not melty, ooey gooey chocolate, then what is it? How do we describe it? How do we show it? How do we visualize it? So we've been on that journey in the past year and a half, and happy to share that we've started putting it out into the world. We've got a foundation in our culinary identity, which is just a fancy way of saying we got some codes around how we talk about and show our chocolate. There's this balancing bar angle that we have because we're a bit off kilter as a brand. We can say that amongst friends here. We also know from consumers, and maybe this will relate to how you eat Tony's, is breaking off that first 2 chunks at the top, right? That's where most people like break into it. We're unequally divided, so we don't make it easy for you. And then inclusions, we're chock full of them, so how do we show that? And then a brilliant basic, just actually showing that it's chocolate. If you think about a bar of Tony's, you love the packaging, it's bright, it's bold, but one of the things that we do differently than our friends in the category, we don't have any chocolate on the front. And so that was something that we needed to address and actually show people that we are chocolate. We don't want them thinking we're anything else. So you can see a bit of how this has started to come to life over time. All right, so we got a great product. We got the cocoa, damn tasty chocolate. Now my favorite part is shaking things up and adding a bit of chaos. Not the destructive kind, but the creative kind, with intention that gets people talking. It's things like this: a countdown calendar, advent calendar. These are a staple around the holidays. You probably bought a few yourself. Well, at Tony's, we like to switch it up a little bit. Instead of every window, right, there's a treat or a gift for you. It's perfectly even. You know what to expect. Well, when you buy a Tony's countdown calendar, you will find that there's one day where there is no chocolate. Don't worry, there's another day where you get 2, so you're getting your money's worth. But who would think that by not including a chocolate in one window, with reason, that there would be such uproar? They called us woke. The parents were outraged. You know, there is this uproar, like, what are we doing? But when people actually took a moment to understand why the chocolate was missing, which is because the industry is unequally divided. So just as our bars are unequally divided and we don't make it easy for you, it's the same thing with our countdown calendar. And we use this moment to raise awareness around the issues in the industry and what we're fighting for. And when people take the time to learn about that, they're actually quite appreciative. They celebrate that. They are flooding our comments with like, well done. We've even had people who have sent us not so nice emails, email us back and say, oh, now I'm sorry about that. I now understand. Thank you for helping this be a teaching moment. And that's just one example of a way chaos can help you raise awareness with intention. Or there's ideas like this, where we took inspiration from some favorite chocolates. These might look familiar to you. They look alike, they taste alike. And this is us again showing it is possible to create great chocolate in an ethical way. So we had a great campaign. This is in Germany. We had these bars on shelf. You could buy them. They tasted amazing. Yay, celebrate. Nah, it's never that smooth at Tony's. One of our friendly competitors didn't see it the same, and they politely asked us to stop using the color purple, remove all the bars from shelf, and to remove it from all of our communication. And for all my marketing friends out here, to do something in 24 hours after you've spent some months putting it together, that's not really what you're trying to do. But we are responsible marketers at Tony's, and we have a responsibility to keep raising awareness. So we complied, whilst also taking the moment to redirect it back to the original issue, raising awareness that there is exploitation in the industry. So we kindly ask people to pay farmers, not lawyers. We think that's a better use of money. And oh, by the way, it's no longer purple. It's a lovely shade of gray. Or there are moments like this. A little bit of chaos goes a long way, and we'd like to think that radical candor, which we lean into at Tony's, for others might feel a bit, freeze you up a bit. We had to raise our prices, not unlike other competitors in the marketplace. But one of the things that we did differently, we told people we were doing it, and we told them why. That sounds, now you're really thinking crazy, Sadira. But the reality is the business didn't fall off a cliff, and actually our fans appreciated the radical candor. Because let's face it, we're not idiots out here. We know when prices are going up, and how refreshing is it when a brand just tells you the thing that they're doing that you already know to be true, and give you the reason why along the way, so you can make an informed choice. But not all chaos needs to be so serious and, big in that way. You can also have fun, and you should have fun with the chaos. Well, one of the things we know is people get our name wrong day in, day out. So let's clear it up right here. Tony's Chocolonely, not Lonely. So if you're sitting there right now and having an aha moment, it's okay, you're amongst friends. It's lonely. And what do you do when you're lonely? You go try to find a mate. And so this past Valentine's Day, we ran this here in the UK, and we were inviting people to if we could be their Valentoni. And we went so far as to use all our flavors and create profiles around them, really highlighting the things that make them unique and interesting. You can even see here, we started a profile on Hinge, which, to be fair, has gotten a lot more action than, I've seen in my DMs or even my dating profile. So I'm taking tips from Tony's as well. So that's chaos. We've talked about a great product. We've talked about chaos, mixing it up with intention. But it all comes back to cause. This is the foundation in which everything should be rooted in. And I've already shared at Tony's, that's about ending exploitation in cocoa. That's the number one thing that we fight for every day. It's why we say we're an impact company that makes chocolate, not the other way around. But you might be asking, okay, Sadira, well, exploitation, that's a big word. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what is the exploitation? Give us the tea. Okay. Well, let me break it down for you. There's 3 big problems within cocoa. The first is living income. West African cocoa farmers are not earning enough. You can see this stat from a recent fair trade study that shows that over 82% of West African cocoa farmers are saying they're not earning a living income. We're eating 6.8 billion kilograms of chocolate every year, and you've got 82% of the farmers that are creating it saying, I'm not earning a living income. That doesn't sit right. Maybe, you get a little uncomfortable when you hear that. I know we do at Tony's. What else? Well, the consequence of that and this systemic underpayment is you end up with 1.5 million children working on cocoa farms. 1.5. And that's not a small number. You start to think, what's the incident rate? The incident rate is if you went to visit a cocoa farm in West Africa, 1 in 2 of those farms is likely to have child labor involved. That's a problem. That's not anything we should ever be okay with or accept as a part of our sweet indulgence of chocolate. And maybe it's not the farmers or the kids that are really like getting you squirming in your seat. Okay, well, let's talk about the planet. Deforestation. If cocoa farmers aren't earning enough, we're trying to find ways to create more income. What does that mean? Cutting down trees to plant more cocoa trees so they can produce more. And you see the consequence of this. That startling fact in Côte d'Ivoire, where over 90% of the forest has been eroded over the past 30 years. And we're all sitting here sweating. We can feel the effects of climate change. This is harming the planet. So what do? What are we doing at Tony's? Well, there's 3 pillars that we're leaning on to drive the change. First, you got to create awareness. I mean, you can't change something if you're unaware of it. So each of you are now responsible because you're aware. You can do something about it. The second is to lead by example, showing it is possible to produce great chocolate in an ethical way. It's possible. We show it day in, day out. And we're one of the small ones. We're the David in this. So if we can do it, we know that others also can do it. We have 5 proven sourcing principles that demonstrate this. And then the last one, which is incredibly important, and I stand here humbly when I say this, is inspiring others to act. There's no way Tony's alone can break the mold of this industry and set a new, better standard. We absolutely need to do it together. I want my competitor standing right next to me on this stage. We say at Tony's, we compete on the shelf and we collaborate on cocoa. That's right, we're breaking the #1 rule in business. And at times, that makes me uncomfortable as a marketer because I want Tony's to win. But you know what I want to win more? Our mission. And if that means I've got to invite mission allies like Feastables to the table to join me, and I keep opening the door for competitors to come right in, making my job a bit harder on the Tony side, I'm here for it 10 out of 10 times. What you can see is a wonderful handful of businesses and brands that have raised their hand and said, we too want to be a part of driving change. This is just a handful of some of our mission allies who share our mission and our passion for creating a new, better standard within the industry. People don't just want to buy chocolate. They want to buy into something bigger and something better. And I'm really happy to share and humbly share, I think it's working. And let me be clear, we don't do it for the recognition. I'm not up here saying we do it for the applause. We 100% are doing it for the cause. And just last week, we were recognized as one of Time's 100 most influential companies, showing that our mission, this recipe, is resonating far beyond the chocolate aisle. That's not just me. I'm standing with a whole lot of people up here who tirelessly work day in, day out to drive this change and to advocate for the West African cocoa farmers. So we started a little while ago, and I told you it'd be unboring. What is the secret recipe? Well, to stand out and not be boring and get out of the sea of sameness, Start with a great product. Shake things up with intention. Add some chaos. Have fun. And then lastly and most importantly, be rooted in a cause that matters, not only to you, but to people. At Tony's, we're bold, bright, witty, and committed. We're having fun. And I think we're onto something with this recipe. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So we've got loads of questions, but it's lunchtime soon, so I'll put a couple to you.
Okay.
This is what I was thinking as well, actually. Someone asks, Anastasia, look, how do you balance educating your customers with overwhelming them with the scary truth to the point where they just switch off?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'd say recently at Tony's, we've been switching from the bombarding of information to more what do consumers care about? And we've been using means and humor, like what are lighthearted ways to raise awareness on the issue? Because the reality is chocolate is joyful, it's indulgent. We want people to enjoy it with fun and not be the Debbie Downer that comes in and is like, but you need to pay attention to the issues. So we're really trying to find consumer-centric ways and creative ways of introducing information that is educational, but still leaves a lot of joy in the process. And most importantly, just equipping people with the information so we all can be a part of the change.
Another question similar, I guess, in tempo. How do you manage balancing your mission to create a slave-free chocolate industry with also being a profitable for-profit company?
Yeah, I don't think those two are mutually exclusive. I mean, in order to change the industry, we have to be a profitable business. We have to demonstrate that by doing things this way, you can scale, create a sustainable, profitable business. And we're demonstrating that that is possible.
Amazing. I think we're up against time. Oh, one more question here, actually. Because I think whenever I see your presentations, that what strikes me is that the creative ideas are so strong, they generate such amazing PR. So I guess the question is, how do you balance the investment in PR versus marketing, and how's that changed over the years?
Yeah, I don't think PR and marketing are mutually exclusive. One of the things you'll find out at Tony is like, we got really lean budgets. A majority of how we raise awareness or how people come to know us is the packaging on shelf and a lot of earned media. It's those ideas I showed you in the chaos section that get people talking, tasting, and sharing. We spend very limited amount of money on paid advertisement.
Thank you so much. I think that's the end of it. Amazing, inspirational way to end our morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Incredible.
Thank you.